right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the District Advisory Council. This is our first meeting for the 25-26 school year, and it's great to see all of you here. Before we continue, I would like our interpreters to give the information and our team to give the information on interpretation.
Okay. Muy buenas tardes, gracias por estar con nosotros. Para servicios de interpretación, favor de hacer lo siguiente si nos acompaña por teléfono o tableta. Primero, oprima los 3 puntos. Segundo, oprima la opción de Language Interpretation. Después, seleccione el idioma Spanish. Entonces, deslice el botón de Mute Original Audio. Si nos acompaña por computadora, favor de hacer lo siguiente. Primero, haga clic en el icono del globo localizado en la parte de debajo de su pantalla. Después, escoge el idioma Spanish. Seleccione Mute Original Audio. We will now have one of our DAC board members call the meeting to order.
Welcome. We call the meeting to order at 5:01 p.m.
Excellent. I am Cheryl Togashi. I am the coordinator in the Categorical Programs Department. Thank you all for being here. It's great to see all of you. As we continue this evening, I'd like to point out you should have, when you signed in, you should have received a packet of documents that includes tonight's District Advisory Council agenda, English and Spanish. You should also have a copy of today's slide presentation, as well as a copy of the District Advisory Council minutes from our last meeting, May 8th, 2025. You'll also have some additional handouts. You will have a copy of the district's uniform complaint procedures, a copy of our District Advisory Council bylaws. You should also find a copy of our meeting calendar for the year, as well as a copy of our DAC report from our last meeting. One other item you'll find in your folder is a burning question sheet. Anytime during the meeting that you have any questions regarding the items on the agenda, go ahead and jot down your questions. And when we have time for question and answer, you'll have those in front of you to be able to ask your question. All right, let's move on to the first item on the agenda. Ms. Karina.
Thank you. Before we move on with the rest of our agenda, I would like to review the hybrid meeting norms. Enter the meeting in person. Enter the meeting prepared to be engaged. Sign in at the entrance table if you haven't already. To ask a question, please use your burning questions form and raise your hand. To motion or second a motion, raise your hand and state your first and last name. To vote, raise your hand until the count is completed, and enjoy the meeting. For those of you joining us virtually, enter the virtual meeting prepared to be engaged. Roll call is taken by the attendance report. To ask a question, please type the question in the chat box. To motion or second a motion, raise your virtual hand or unmute and state your first and last name. To vote, raise your virtual hand until the count is completed, and also enjoy the meeting. Sorry.
All right, next item on the agenda.
Roll call, again, is taken by the attendance report from the Zoom meeting and the in-person sign-in sheet. Please, at this time, take out your minutes from the Thursday, May 8th meeting and take a few minutes to review them. In that meeting, unless you'd like to go. In that meeting, we discussed some new business. There was no old business. There was a winner submission of the CONAP Part 2 presentation, the LCAP annual update from Ms. Sargent, and that was a majority of the meeting. Recognition of our DAC members. Can I get a motion to approve the May 8th, 2025 minutes?
We ask that any DAC board members to please make sure, or I'm sorry, DAC members, to make sure and state their first and last name when they are calling for a motion. And if you choose to second the motion, if you could also state your first and last name.
My name is Sally Garcia, and I motioned. Do we have a second?
Can I get a second, please?
Alondra Navarro, I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Please
keep
raise
your
your
hands
hand.
raised.
Yeah, hold
Thank
it
you.
high.
Oh, yeah, me too. Good. And again, if you're joining us in person, raise your hand, and then via Zoom, virtual hand. Any opposed? Okay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. No. Okay. I don't believe we have a student representative present for this part, so we will skip right over and go to old business. There's no old business to address at this time, so we're going to go ahead and move on to agenda line item 7, new business. And I'll keep going. Our first agenda line item is the introduction to the District Advisory Council. The Categorical Programs Department is here to present this information.
Thank you so much. And again, welcome this evening to each and every one of you here in person and in our virtual world. We appreciate you being here. How many of you have been to a District Advisory Council meeting in the past? Okay. How many of you are brand new to District Advisory Council? Okay. It's about half and half. Excellent. So it's good to see all of you. So in your packet, you're going to find the presentation, and I'm going to tell you what District Advisory Council is all about. So our district, San Bernardino City Unified School District, is required to have not only a school site council at all of our schools, but also a district advisory council. And that council is all of these representatives between school site council and district advisory council are required because we receive a lot of different types of funding. In particular, we receive federal funds that require us to have a school site council and district advisory council to provide input on how we utilize those funds. The mission of our DAC is to promote excellence in the education for all students through a broad-based community representation. So again, it's great to see. I see parents, I see students, I see grandparents. I also see district staff who are here to help present some valuable information to you this evening. So it's great to see all of you. The DAC, as we call it for short, is a committee of parents, students, community members, teachers, principals, and other district staff. All members are elected to the District Advisory Council through the school site council at each and every school. The District Advisory Council also has a board and leadership. That board and leadership help us develop our agendas for the items that parents and community want to hear about. We do have many required items, such as the Local Control Accountability Plan and Title I funding and presentation. So we have a lot of required items, but then we have time for our community members to let us know what else they want to hear about. So they help us develop our agendas for the year. We hold our meetings monthly, usually between September and May. That gives our schools time to get their school site councils up and running starting in August, right? And give them the opportunity to elect their DAC members. Next slide, please. Some specific functions of our District Advisory Council include reviewing and commenting, as I mentioned a minute ago, on the Educational Services Division work that we do throughout the district. That they also provide comments, input and comment to our superintendent as well as our governing board. We take the information you give us to our superintendent and to our board of representatives, our school board, so that they have information directly from you when we are working on our educational programs, when we are looking at our parent-family engagement policy for the district, we get your input on that. When we are applying for the different funds that we can receive in our district, the different grants through the consolidated application for state and federal categorical programs. And of course, through our district's local control and accountability plan. We host many meetings throughout the year so that you are able to come and hear how we use those local control funds, and you're able to give input on the use of those funds throughout the district. Next slide, please. Oh, that's a lot of information in that short period of time. Any questions about the District Advisory Council? I don't see anything in chat. Anything here? Yes, sir. Excellent. Absolutely. That's an excellent question. So every time we have a meeting, we have an agenda. And everything that's on this agenda, we present information and put everything in the minutes, and you approve these minutes at the next meeting. So everything will be recorded in minutes. And then for a summary version, we also present you with a District Advisory Council summary report. So you can take this report, once you receive it, to your school site council meetings and present this information to them to make them aware of everything that's going on through our council. Excellent question. Any other questions about the DAC? All right, let's move on to the next line item on our agenda.
Thank you.
Sorry, Karina, really
sorry.
quick. Cheryl, we do have a question online from Ashika. The question is, I may have missed this, but how do we apply for the advisory committee?
Excellent question. So to be a member of the advisory committee, the district advisory committee, you need to attend your school site council meetings and let them know that you're interested. You don't have to be an actual member of school site council, but if you attend those meetings and you let them know that you're interested in being a member of the DAC, you can, at that meeting where they elect the member, you can raise your hand and nominate yourself to be a member or an alternate. So that was a great question because the school site council elects the members to the DAC. Good afternoon. It's great to see you. That was a great question. Thank you so much for that. All right, let's move on to the next item.
Okay, next we'll move on for a, sorry, I lost my place. The affirmative, nope.
Affirmative
The
action.
yeah, the Affirmative Action
Department.
Department will present on uniform complaint procedures.
Excellent, and thank you so much. We have several members here this evening. I will let each one of them introduce themselves as they move on to present our uniform complaint procedures.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Robert Ariano. I am the Affirmative Action Officer for the school district, and these are our additional managers. We are the Affirmative Action Office who is responsible for compliance of complaints within our school district, which includes the UCP, which we'll be presenting on. I'll have the rest of my managers present themselves.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gloria Solis. I'm an Assistant Affirmative Action Officer here at the district, also the Equity Compliance Officer.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Marisol Sanchez, and I'm also the Assistant Affirmative Action Officer, and I handle most of the reasonable accommodations throughout the district, and I also handle some investigations, so happy to see you all.
Good evening once again. So the first slide we'll be discussing is what is a uniform or complaint, or what is the uniform complaint procedure? The uniform complaint procedure is a formal process used by California public school districts to address certain types of complaints. This involves discrimination, harassment, intimidation, or bullying based on a protected class. For a full list, you're welcome to visit the district's website under the board policy 1312.3. The next item would be sexual harassment that is not covered under Title IX, as well as failure to comply with certain states or federal laws, including pupil fees or educational rights. For the next slide, let Robert share that.
So what kind of programs fall under UCP? In short, all of our district programs, because we are a federal funded educational facility, will fall under the UCP. Student support services would fall under UCP, career technical education, extended learning and safety. Again, we're talking about equity, rights, and accountability, as well as our educational planning and compliance. So if you file a complaint, what are the steps that are going to happen? Again, our office would receive that complaint when you file it, and for the link on the slide itself, you can click any of the underlined heading under filing a complaint, or that guardian symbol. That is the system that we use to track our complaints, which would come to our office, and one of our investigators or myself will review the complaint for the initial processing of that complaint. Again, our office does handle all the complaints within our board policy, so we make the determination as to what complaint process your complaint would have to go through, including the potential to go through the UCP. From there, we would discuss with you, bring you in for an intake meeting, and determine if your complaint should be moved forward to a full investigation, or is there a possibility for a mediation or some restorative conversation that can occur before we move on to an investigation. You're going to be presented the information for how the investigation process goes, the timeline under UCP, which the federal government gives us 60 days to complete a UCP investigation. And then you're going to be asked whether you want to proceed through that formal process or if you want to use any of the other processes for investigating within the district. At the conclusion of this investigation, once we've interviewed the appropriate personnel, gathered evidence to support the allegation, we are going to complete a report that is going to document the entirety of our investigation. And in your closure, you will get notification as to some of the information in that report, as well as what are the corrective actions that are taken to fix the issue that was brought up. In any of our processes, if there is a belief that something was done wrong in our process, there was some type of bias within our process, or there's new evidence that would change the outcome of the investigation, whoever filed the complaint or the respondent has the ability to appeal our decision. That is the UCP in short. Does anybody have any questions?
As we wait for our parent to come up, as a reminder, if you have a question, feel free to come up to the mic up over at the podium where our current parent is standing, so that you could ask your question and we can all hear it. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Crystal Scott. I'm parent for San Andreas High School. My question is there a time frame to report or to file the complaint?
The short answer is yes, depending on the allegation being brought forward. It's usually 3 months to file a complaint. When there is a discrimination part of the process, it could be extended to up to 6 months.
That's all. Thank you.
Any other questions or online?
Good afternoon, good evening. It's Corinthia Williams. My question is, if I'm filing a complaint, speaking hypothetically, and it's against the district, does the district bring in a third party to overhear what I have to say, or is it yourselves that's going to hear this complaint against your own district?
So, like explained, initially the allegation would come to me as the coordinator, and we would make that determination as to the type of complaint. If it's something that is an automatic conflict of interest in any way, we can bring in a third party. But we are going to have that intake meeting with you to hear your concerns. And if you, the complainant, brings up any concerns of bias or a conflict of interest, could always have third-party investigators that are available. But we are contracted and have the training to handle investigations ourselves. We do work outside of our schools, so there is no personal relationships. But like I said, that's always something that we will consider when we do the intake meeting with a complainant.
Could you give me an example of something that would be a conflict of interest?
So, for example, I worked in our police department prior to making the transition as of affirmative action. So if a complaint was filed against our department, perhaps I wouldn't be the most suitable person to investigate because there might be some friendships. So at that point, one of our other investigators might take on that role of the investigator, and I would exclude myself from that investigation. But if the allegation is a little bit bigger than what we're discussing, it could be, like I said, a potential third-party investigator that would come out and handle the investigation and work with our assistant superintendent to make that determination of responsibility.
I'm still kind of confused from the example because, and I'm sorry, Cheryl. Hi, everybody. Because it says if you're saying if you work for that department and I'm complaining about that department, you would then excuse yourself because you worked there before.
Because there might be potential relationships.
Right. I'm just speaking from the mind of a parent, somebody out there. If you're working for the district and my complaint is about the district, how is it that you're not going to be biased against your employer?
I see your question. The short answer, I don't get paid for protecting the district from complaints. It's about the liability on the long term. So by me being factually accurate in my reports and my investigations, it gives the district more protection than by me protecting them from complaints. So again, we do function as our own department. We report directly to our assistant superintendent. So there is really no directors between us that would govern our decisions when we're doing the investigations.
Thank you.
And to add to that, our uniform complaint procedures is reviewed every 2 years by the state of California through our federal program monitoring review. So any and all board policies related to uniform complaint procedures, as well as investigations and evidence, are all reviewed by the state of California. And if for some reason we were found out of compliance, we would have corrective action that would need to be made across the district. So they are well-trained, they do an excellent job, but we are also in the spotlight of our state. They have to make sure we're doing and abiding by the law. So that's a great question, and hopefully that helps answer.
We do have one other question virtually, and before we take the next one in person. The question from Alondra Navarro is, do we have a direct link to a report a complaint?
So yes, like I said, on the presentation itself, there is, the Guardian sign is linked to our complaint form. But if you go to our district webpage under affirmative action, file a complaint on Guardian, it will be on there. And if we move to the next page, you'll also see the link there. And you also have our phone number there where you can contact us, and our office will walk you through how to file a complaint or help you file the complaint if you don't have access to a computer at the time.
All right, we have one more question before we move on.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Velma Cooley, and I am the parent representative alternative for Barton Elementary. And just to piggyback off of what Ms. Cunningham was saying, I was wondering, like, what if the parent is intimidated to reach out to you guys because of some sort of reason? I only ask because past experience, but if they are intimidated, they won't reach out to you guys. But I wasn't intimidated. I reached out to you guys, and I did get the help that I needed, and it was well off. But just being a concerned parent just made me question about for others. What about if they're scared?
Thank you for that question, and thank you for vouching for us. That
No, thank
we
you guys.
We definitely try to help out as best as we can. Of course, as an investigating department, we can only act or take action based on what is reported to us, and that's why we do try to come out to the community, introduce ourselves, explain who we are and what we do, and we do rely a lot on our partners or people that have gone through our process to speak on the fact that we are here to help. So we do want to put that out to our community that we want to help, and the only way that we can is by people feeling comfortable speaking to us. That's why we come out and do any presentation. So at your site level, if you need us to come out and speak to your own council, we are more than happy to come out and do these introductions, so that way we can help people feel comfortable. Now, if you don't feel comfortable reaching to our department, there might be somebody at the site that you might feel comfortable speaking with, a staff member that can relay the information to us, and maybe we can start the conversation that way to start looking into the issues.
So much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Let's give them a big hand, please. Thank you so much for joining us. We invite them every year to come and present that to our council so that more and more people are aware of the procedure.
Thank you. The Enrollment and Placement Services Department will now present information on enrollment, Paxum Welcome Center, and requests for change of school process.
And I'm going to let our Director of Enrollment Placement introduce himself and fill you in with some great information.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leonard Buckner. I am the Director of Enrollment and Placement Services, as well as Student Records, and I work in the brand new building behind us. And so I'm here to talk to you about enrollment and placement services. So all things enrollment, as it says here, helping you get your student enrolled and supported. So let's go to the next slide. So things that you need for enrollment, and many of you already know this, you have students enrolled, but as you're communicating with people in the community, there's 4 requirements for enrollment. Proof of birth or proof of age. Birth certificate is one item. It could be a baptismal record, a hospital record, attesting to when your child was born, and that's generally at the beginning of your child's schooling, TK, kindergarten, that time frame. All the time we want to see that because it helps us to also identify, oh, you are the parent of that child. Proof of address within our SBC USD boundaries. Also updated immunization records. We got to have immunizations to enter into school. And then parent guardian photo identification. Next slide. We do have some exceptions of that. If a student is dealing with is in a foster situation or a homeless situation, and the parent or the foster parent doesn't have certain documents, we don't allow that to be a barrier. We will enroll immediately and get them in, and then we work with our Atlas team. Our Atlas team oversees our foster and homeless youth, and they have a lot of different resources, and they work with the community to get those that documentation that we need, proof of birth and immunizations and things along those lines. And there's one more. If a student has an IEP, in their special education program, and they may not have immunizations, all the other stuff is still valid. You know, proof of birth, parent guardian ID, and proof of residency within the boundaries. But the immunizations they may not have, we would still enroll those students, and then we work with our health department to support and help get the necessary immunizations or get the immunization record. They may have the immunizations, but they just don't have the record of it, okay? Also in my department, we deal with transfers between schools, so known as the RCS, or school choice request, that comes through my department. And we also work with transfers to other school districts. Okay, sometimes families wish to go to Rialto, Redlands, Colton, wherever or families wish to come into our district. So that all comes through the Enrollment and Placement Services Center. So transfers between schools, those are voluntary transfers. Those are transfers that parents desire. I want my kid to go to another school. Those are based on space at the school that you're requesting. So sometimes those are denied because there's no space. Especially at the elementary level, we deal with capping out. First grade, second grade, third grade, there may not be any space at the school, even for the homeschool students. So students are going to be capped out. So we're not going to move a student from one boundary to another boundary if there is no capacity at that grade level. Also, we look at attendance and behavior. That's a big deal. We try not to move kids across boundaries to another school boundary if, you know, there's poor attendance, chronically absent, having 18 or more absences, you know, whatever behaviors leading to suspensions and different things like that, chances are those won't be approved. Now, I'm not saying they'll never be approved, but chances are they won't be approved. But we do try to work with families. We know there's circumstances and situations, so we work on that with a case-by-case perspective. But we will not move a kid to another boundary if it's going to put the school over capacity. We won't violate that. So we may have to find another school potentially, and then we'll work with our families. We have a monthly committee meeting for our school transfers for the current school year. We have one beginning coming up, I think, if it's not next week, the week after, for September. And we do it in October, November. I don't think we do December because it's kind of a short month. January, February, March. The last committee meeting for the current school year, which is the 25-26 school year, is in April. And then, so once we get to April, past April, we don't move kids anymore because we're getting close to the end of the school year. Now, again, in general, we know that there's circumstances that might need a specific attention. So again, I'm the one looking at those particular cases, and we see what we can do. But I don't guarantee that we'll move your kid, but we figure out how to help, okay? There is a revocation process with the school transfer. So let's say you are approved to go to a different school, and then your child is there and the students starting being absent. You're not getting your child to school. Because when you're on a school transfer, there's no transportation. You're responsible for the transportation. And we put that on the transfer document. We don't provide transportation for that. But let's say the student starts to be absent, they're tardy, or there's behaviors. The school has a revocation process that they go through. If your child gets in trouble or is missing days, they can't just say, oh, you missed 5 days, we're going to send you back to your school. That's not how it works. It's over a period of time, but there's interventions that they must take, work with you, try to meet with you, talk with you. They're going to be documenting that they've communicated with you. The last thing is we don't want you to find out and say, oh, nobody ever talked to me about my child had these amount of absences, or my child was having different behaviors that could lead to their transfer or that contract or the transfer being revoked. So there has to be a lot of communication going on. And then if there is a revocation, that would come from my office. It'd be written on my letterhead. And then, sometimes families don't want the transfer to be revoked. So there is an appeal process. Then if there's some extenuating circumstances, I would look at it and I'll make sure the school did what they were supposed to do. Did they communicate, so on and so forth. And then I'll make a final decision. And then if you don't like my decision, then it will go above to the county superintendent of schools. And then they would determine, hey, did we follow our processes, and so on and so forth. So we try not to get to that. Usually when there's a revocation, the families pretty much know that it's not working here for whatever the reason is. Next slide. Other services that we provide, also dealing with enrollment, we enroll on the online. So you can enroll at home if you have a computer, but you can also come to our beautiful building in the back of us and enroll. We have laptops, computers, and we help families with scanning documents. Sometimes they don't, they struggle with that part. So we have my team there to support and help with that. From a student records standpoint, we deal with all things transcripts and student records. So high school, middle school, even elementary. So we monitor all the records. We try to work with our school site registrars to make sure records are accurate. And records meaning not just transcripts, but it could be the discipline records. Sometimes families say, oh, I know my child got in trouble, but that's not what happened. Or, sometimes you wish to challenge the record. There's a process for challenging a record, and we work through that. Accessing student records. You as a parent have access to your students' records. You can request that. So schools have a certain amount of time with a few, I want to say 3 to 5 days to get you your students' records. They can let you look through the CUME. Somebody would be sitting with you if you desire to look through your students' records. You can't add anything to the CUME and you can't take anything from the CUME, but you can review the CUME. And if there was some discrepancy, you could write a note or letter or something to say, I don't agree with how this is written, and so on and so forth. And you could add, a letter of rebuttal or whatever to the student's record, and it becomes a part of the student record. And then we just manage, the records across the district and any updates with the law and things along those lines. Also in my department, we have a student recovery specialist that works primarily at our high schools. Right now, he's really focused in on Arroyo Valley and San Bernardino High, but he works with students that are struggling, not only academically, but behaviorally, and he helps to work with families just to help mentor parents to help their kids who are struggling. Sometimes students are behind credits, specifically in high school, and we want kids to graduate on time as best we can. So he's a bridge to get them to Sierra or San Andreas if they're behind credits. Sometimes, we deal with students that are 60, 70 credits behind. They don't go to school too much. Or they want to turn it, they kind of turn it around. You have to be at least 16 before you go to an alternative school like Sierra or San Andreas, and a sophomore, generally after your sophomore year. And so he helps to get students to Sierra and San Andreas and kind of follows up with them to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do, and follows up on the parents to make sure the parent is doing what they're supposed to do to help their students. And if you choose that process, your student doesn't have to graduate from Sierra or San Andreas, but they can. But we try to get them there, have them catch up with credits. Sometimes they get ahead, and then they say, I want to graduate from my home school, resident school. So they have a right to come back to their regular high school to graduate. So we work with students and families through that process as well. Next slide. So there's different programs at the elementary level. different enrichment and academic programs, GATE, AVID, dual language, signature school programs. And so all those, we work with some of our signature schools like Kimbark, Palm, Anton, Bonio. So we work with those schools where it's like a little application process at the elementary level. And again, families can apply to go to those schools. Dual language, we work with the dual language programs, the multilingual programs. So for families that wish their students to be dual language or Spanish and English and different things. And again, they're all based on space. So it's not just readily open, like everybody can go there. If the space is not there, they're not gonna, chances are they won't get in. But we work with our elementary instruction program to provide those to our families. Next slide. At the secondary level, we work with our secondary education. So they have IB, middle college. Richardson, Rodriguez, and Chavez is at that middle school level for students that qualify based on test scores and things along those lines. And our alternative high schools and virtual academy. So we do have a virtual academy within our district that came on board when we were going through COVID, and so it remained. And so we work closely with the virtual academy, and they still have space constraints as well. Teachers, all teachers, there's teacher to student ratio, and so that's where the space constraints come in. So if the teacher's class is full, we just can't add another student in there because then we're violating their working conditions and contracts and so on and so forth. So I try to make sure I explain that to our families when we're working with them, so they know it's not just, oh, you don't want my kid to be there. Next slide. Any questions? Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
So again, Corinthia Williams, your co-chair for your district advisory. Just so you guys know, I'm like the voice for the parents that aren't scared to speak up. So I am your voice as your co-chair person. So I will ask questions that I'm pretty much thinking a parent is probably thinking or want to ask. So it might seem like, oh my God, she's playing very mean. I just play the devil advocate and say, you know what, a parent is probably thinking this and wouldn't ask. So Ms. Williams will ask for you. On the schools, Buckner, when a school caps out, how do you guys go about who moves? So if I'm already in this school and it's not my home school, but I transferred here, I'll just give you a quick synopsis. I got transferred and got accepted to get into this school. Now this school is capped out, but I've been here 3 years already. How do you guys go about selecting who moves?
Thank you for that question. So for capping out, we work with our HR department. There's a capping section within the HR. And how that works is the last student enrolled at the school is the first student capped out. So if a student has been there, they transferred there when they were in second grade, let's say, and they're at an elementary school, and now they're in fifth grade, I'm gonna say the likelihood of them being capped out is slim because there's other students that have enrolled after them that are probably gonna be capped out first, okay? So it's the last one enrolled is the first one capped out, if capping out has to occur. So if you've been there since first grade, second grade, and now you're a fifth grader, chances are it's kind of rare that you would be capped out.
So it has nothing to do with this being your home school?
No, because it could be your home school and you still can be capped out. So if you're capped out, the way it works is you're not capped out 2 years in a row. So let's say I move, because sometimes families move into a certain area. Oh, this is the great school. Yeah, that's my school. And then they go for third grade, fourth grade, or fifth grade. And well, I won't say fifth grade, but let's say third grade. And they get capped out because it's over capacity of students that live within that boundary, as well as there could be transfer students that have been there since early on. So that student will be capped out, they go to a different school. Now, during that school year, if students leave that school,
They can come back.
they are able to come back. So the school is to call them because they create a list, hey, we have an opening now. Do you want your child to come back to our school? Sometimes they're like, oh yeah, get them back in. Or no, he or she's made friends over here now. I just want them to stay. And so we work through it like that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Another question. I have 3 of them. So what was the purpose of the committee? I know you said you have a committee that meets monthly. What's the purpose for the transfers?
So the purpose of the transfer committee, and the transfer committee, there's the elementary transfer committee, and then there's a high school, a secondary transfer committee. So they meet monthly because families submit their application sometimes throughout the month or the year, like, oh, I want to change schools or whatnot. So the committee is administrators, different administrators from across the district. It's not just Leonard Buckner. So the committee looks, my team will go through and look at attendance, kind of screen certain things out first.
Okay.
But then they'll look and, parents put reasons, oh, my job is closer to the school, or elementary childcare, certain things. There's different scenarios and different reasons. And so then the transfer committee looks at that. They'll look at everything, put it in a picture, and then say, okay, this would be a good transfer, and grant this one, and so on and so forth. So I'm not saying yay or nay every time something is being submitted.
Okay.
And so they do that for both elementary and secondary.
So their thing is they actually get together and look over the transfers, they look over the applications for
Absolutely.
the transfers. Okay.
Absolutely.
I wasn't clear on that,
Yes,
so thank
absolutely.
you.
Uh-huh.
Last question. Ken, I know you spoke about Sierra High School, which we know is one of our great continuation schools. Can anyone go to Sierra, any high school student, can I say, you know what, I want to graduate early. I want to go to Sierra.
So Sierra and San Andreas is specifically for students that are behind in credits.
Okay.
And when I mean by behind, so if you're behind 10 credits, you could make up those credits at your regular, your home school.
Right.
But if you are a sophomore, let's say, and you are behind 60 credits, you may not be able to make up all those credits in the time allotted. So it really is for students that are behind credits. We don't want just every kid, oh, I want to graduate early. We don't want you to graduate early. We want you to be in school 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. Do kids graduate early? They do, but we're not pushing you to graduate early.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I have quite a few questions too. Mrs. Cooley again from Barton Elementary, and I had some concerns and questions about the immunizations. The first one is, why is immunization so important to enroll your child into school?
Why is it? Okay, so good question. Immunizations are important, one, so that the different, vaccines or mumps and measles and different things along those lines that students may generally get when they're younger. We don't want it to spread in the community or at the school site. Our state, the state of California, has actually, there used to be exemptions, religious exemptions. I just don't want my kid
Follow-up question.
to get the immunizations. There's no longer that. That changed in about 2016. Now there is a medical exemption if you get something from a legitimate
I'm going through that right now.
medical doctor, and they have to. There's a process that they go through, so it's not as easy. Oh, I'll just write your letter, type it up, sign, and here you go. It was probably easier before, but now it's not as easy.
So if they're not immunized by however much time they give you when taking that process with the doctor, then what would they do? Would they kick the student out?
So there is a time frame. and I don't want to misspeak because that's not my expertise, but there is a time frame, and they would definitely exclude the student from school for, a period of time. We work closely with our health services division, and so they have all the specifics on that.
As I know you said something about an IEP. That's including if they have an IEP as well?
If they have an IEP, I believe so, but again, I just know that we can't say, oh, we can't enroll you if they have an IEP and they don't have the immunizations. We bring them in, but then the health services department works with that family to say, hey, we need to get these, immunizations, unless there's some medical, legitimate medical reason why they can't have it.
Okay. 2 more questions, I promise. Now, what if the homeschool isn't offering the special program that's needed, like special education, for instance, mild to severe mod, and the school district, the schools that's in that district isn't offering them as well, then what?
So if you are you have a student that's on an IEP and they're moderate to severe, and your homeschool doesn't have that program, special education will work with the family and move them to a school that has that program. And then all that would be in their IEP. And so that's how that works.
And final one, regarding the virtual learning, I wanted to know how effective is that program? Is it really effective if the kids are getting all of the requirements that they need?
Well, Virtual Academy, yes. They are getting the same instruction, curriculum, state law, state standards that a student sitting in a regular classroom is getting. They're credentialed teachers, and they've been trained, specially trained to work with families via the online virtual capacity or medium. And then, they're virtual, but they still have opportunities where they have to meet. So the parent has to bring the student in. I don't know exactly, maybe I don't want to say 3 times, maybe at least 2 times, sometimes throughout the week, to check and make sure things are going the way it needs to be. Because on the virtual side of it, the parent is doing a lot to make sure that the child is on point and doing what they need to do.
Sorry to interrupt you guys, but we have about 4 minutes left on this. Once again, I want to remind you, if you have any more questions, please use your burning questions for that, as we do have to be respectful of the time.
Okay, we've got 3 last questions very quickly, 2 online and 1 more here in person. Thank you for that reminder, Ms. Sally. And again, if you have something personal in nature, something that you're going through that you have a specific question about, please wait until the end of the meeting and you can speak with Mr. Buckner at that time. Okay? Online questions?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Linares asks, is there any reform in progress for Spanish-speaking parents during the transfer process? My mother-in-law has a special needs child that was transferred from Shandon Hills Middle School to Cesar Chavez Elementary, which I'm assuming they mean Cesar Chavez Middle School. The communion was not transparent for her because there were many unknowns for her and she wasn't really guided through the transfer process. So once again, is there any reform in progress for Spanish-speaking parents during the transfer process?
What do you mean by reform? I'm not clear on that.
Mr. Linares, if you wish to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Yes, hi, thank you for your time. I was speaking on asking more about the reform and the communication that goes along with it with Spanish-speaking communities. Like, is there any further training for communication? Because throughout the whole process, it was uncertain of where her child was going to go, and the reason for transfers, or the reason why he wasn't initially put into the first school that he had to be transferred back to. So, for example, his homeschool was Cesar Chavez Middle School, but he was enroll. He was told to enroll in Shandon Hills, and then very next semester, very next school year, he was going back to his original home school, Cesar Chavez, and it was just a lot of unknowns for her during that process.
Okay, so you know what? Let me give you my phone number, and it's 909-889-7576, and or you can email me at Leonard Leonard Buckner Buckner at sbcusd.k12.ca.us, and I think the contact information is on the very last slide, and you can call and we can talk about that specific situation just to kind of bring some clarity, because the RCS and form and everything, it is in Spanish, so I'm sorry.
Okay, and one other question from Jeanette Luna. Is a student's CAPS record included in their school record?
CAPS meaning the after-school program?
Ms. Luna, are you talking about the before and after school program, or are you talking about the students who are capped out? Feel free to unmute yourself.
All right, I'm talking about the before and after school program.
That's a good question. I don't think that is in their student record. I mean, we look in the Aries file, I don't see anything about after school program. It's more about the from in the morning to the end of school record, school day. So I don't think the CAPS before school or after school, that's not in their student record. But I can check and verify to see if that, but I don't, at this point, I don't recollect that.
Okay, thank
Our
you.
last question on this topic right here, please.
Buenas tardes, soy Consuelo Rubio de Bradley Elementary. Usted mencionó aquí de los programas, solo reconozco el de AVID y el de inmersión de 2 idiomas. ¿Cómo al enrolar a los estudiantes, ustedes les dicen a los padres, yo no recuerdo, ciertamente fue en tiempo de COVID, pero no recuerdo que me hayan mencionado los programas académicos de enriquecimiento de nivel primaria, programas de estudiantes dotados? Entonces me queda la duda de yo como padre, ¿cómo puedo saber cuándo es el tiempo? ¿Se encarga la escuela, se encarga el maestro de darme esa información para yo motivar a mi estudiante a que, por ejemplo, esté en el de estudiantes dotados talentosos?
Okay, I'm Consuelo Rubio from Bradley Elementary. You spoke about different programs. Between those, there was AVID, the dual immersion program. When the student enrolls, I don't really recall that well that I was talked about programs like the enrichment program or the gifted program. I have a doubt, like when the time comes, who is the person that has to provide to us that information? Is it the school or a teacher? How will I know in order to be informed if I have my kid into, for example, the gifted program?
So that information, as far as the gifted program, there's time frames in which that is sent out in notification. So coming out from our elementary instruction team, I can't remember when the testing begins, but all students have an opportunity to be assessed for gifted and talented. I think it's 2nd or 3rd grade, around that time frame. Schools, the different elementary schools do AVID strategies and AVID practices. Dual immersion and multilingual programs, if you are interested in that. They also have a notification that's done during the enrollment time, but you also can reach out to our multilingual programs and let them know that you're interested in dual language.
Preguntaba porque ciertamente sí, a veces solo he escuchado de las loterías para, por ejemplo, cuando salen de elementario, van a middle school, de las loterías de los estudiantes que son seleccionados. Entonces, yo como padre quiero tener la información para saber si mi hijo se aplica, así que no se me pase el tiempo de meter la aplicación, porque he escuchado a muchos padres que sí se les pasa y o no recibieron la notificación o les llegó por correo electrónico y los padres tienen dificultad con eso, se lo hacen llegar por papel.
So I'm only asking because we usually only hear, for example, of the lottery schools and the students that were selected for those schools. And then parents usually don't receive the information of those timelines of when those programs take effect or they're assessed for those specific programs. And then parents get lost and they don't receive the information directly through the different channels.
Okay, that's school. You're welcome. And that, let me just answer. So that's at the school site level. However, I'm going to write myself a note, go back to our secondary education team, and let them know that that came up as a concern, and so we can get better at communicating out the timelines for lottery and different things along those lines. Okay?
Thank you.
Let's give Mr. Buckner a great big hand. That was a lot of information. He had lots of questions. Please keep in mind that your principal at your school can be your first contact. They would be able to let you know what programs are offered at their school and be able to fill you in on what the programs are at the next school, like the middle school. There's lots of information on our district website as well. And again, if you have a personal question regarding something you're going through, reach out to Mr. Buckner. He's got the information there in the presentation, and he'd be more than happy to help you. Next item on the agenda.
Thank you. We will now move on to the presentation on financial aid, scholarships, and the FAFSA. We have the Student Wellness, and Support Services Department here with us to present this information.
Thank you. I don't know if I can follow Mr. Buckner, so much information. I do want to say about the question about immunizations. Our department, Student Wellness and Support Services, we oversee that department, and I'm happy to talk with you afterwards if you have, time afterwards. Okay. Let me move this way. Okay, so my name is Martina Beach Hedges. I'm the Assistant Director for Student Wellness and Support Services, which is SWIS for short, because that's a long name. And so we oversee counselors in the district. So our department supports all counselors at every school, and we provide professional development, and we provide support for all 160 counselors in our district. That being said, some of the things that we support them with is the things that they do within their job. And one of those is, particularly at the high schools, is financial aid and scholarships. So that's us to go and support there. That's why I'm here tonight, to talk about how we can help you with financial aid. Most of this is for high school, because that's where you start applying, in your junior, senior year, start applying for scholarships or start applying for financial aid. But there is a little piece for if you have younger children, so just hold on, I have some information. So next slide. I just want to also say this slide deck will be in our website, on the district website for us, because there is some information that might change, and I'll share about that in just a moment. But we'll be posting this, and this will be all given out to all of your counselors at your high school site, so they'll all know this. So we align our work with the district Vision 2030. So this is about how we want to make sure that students are college and career ready, which means also ready to go to school and needing financial aid, right? So we want to make sure that you all have the information for that. So here is information about the FAFSA or CADA. FAFSA is the free application for student aid. We asked in California that all students, all high school students, high school seniors, complete this application, either the FAFSA or the CADA. We do this through our digital platform that the state funds. So they go on this platform to apply for these applications that will then take all the information that you provide and share with you what financial financial awards that can be given to you or that you can receive. So here I just wanted to share with you, I know it's a lot of writing, but it just kind of talks about like who should be applying for which application they should be completing, whether it's the FAFSA or whether it's the CADA being the California Dream Act, and it tells you who should be applying, which for the FAFSA would be the U.S. citizens, our permanent residents, people with green cards. For the CADA, it would be students who need California state funding, because the FAFSA is federal, the CADA is California state funded, and it enables undocumented students or those who are seeking asylum, those students who can apply for financial aid as well. And so I did put some links on here so that it gives you more information. I just wanted to kind of like summarize real quickly so that you would get the gist of who should be applying and why you should be applying. You would only fill out one or the other. You would not fill out both. You fill out one or the other, and it is all uploaded. And then when you get the designation of what you will be awarded, it all comes to you as one, okay? These are the different types of federal financial aid. So when you fill out the FAFSA, these are the different types of awards you can be granted. So there's the Pell Grant, which is based on what you need when you fill out all the information. You do not need to repay it, which is nice if you're awarded that. And it's a lot. It could be a lot of money. You could be paying for all of your college. You have the federal supplemental educational opportunity. That's just an additional on top of it. You could be rewarded multiple pieces of money and grants. So this is one that could be an additional on top of the Pell Grant. And it's usually awarded to people who apply early. And I want to talk about dates in just a moment. There is the federal work study, which again, that is for students who want or need a part-time job while they're going to college. I did that when I was in college. And so they award that and tell you how much you can make, and they help you get that job. So that's really nice. There's the federal subsidized loan, which is a needs-based loan, which then does, the government pays for the interest while you're in school so that you don't have to have all that interest. And then there's the unsubsidized loan, which it's the loan plus the interest while you're in school. Next. These are the grants or the monies that could be awarded for you for the CADA. So it's the Cal Grant, and this can cover your tuition, your fees, housing, all of that, and it's based on your GPA. So we're constantly telling students to do well in school. This is part of it. If you want to go to college, that this is helps you with that. There's the College Promise Grant, which is fee waivers for community college. So a lot of times we hear that students don't want to fill out the FAFSA or the CADA because they're not going to a four-year college, right? But this helps you also to get fee waivers for community college, which is really important because some don't understand that if you don't fill this out, you may not get the fee waiver, and that's there are timelines. So we try to make sure that all students are filling out these applications so that we can, down the road, there's no like, oops, I didn't fill it out, right? Oops, I didn't get to qualify for that. So this is one piece that so a lot of people don't understand when we're asking them to fill this out. There are other local and state grants and monies and scholarships that can be awarded. So I just put the link on there because it explains a lot of what can be awarded that a lot of people just don't understand. There are millions and millions and millions, and when I say this, I don't know how many times I can say millions, but millions of dollars that are left on the table that could have gone to our students, and that just breaks my heart. And we talk about it with our counselors every year to try to get that to get the word out for that. Next, please. So I want to share about this slide. It does have last year's dates, and let me explain. Things are changing literally every day. My team was on a webinar this morning about financial aid because we want to make sure that we have constant updated information for our counselors and for our families and students. So I put last year's dates, and the reason I did that was just to show you that there are timelines, and the timelines are necessary to make sure that you're keeping up on when things are due and then how and when you get your funding if you're awarded. This was last year's, and you'll see on the open date, it says December 1st, and then it phased from October 1st. This was because it was supposed to open October 1st, and then they kept delaying it. And that's why I'm saying that just trying to keep up with the information about financial aid, our team just tries to do that. So for the 26, 27, so that would be students graduating this year. So they're seniors this year, and they're graduating in December, or I'm sorry, in June. Let's not say December, June. Their open date is, they're saying, as of this morning, October 1st. So we're going to be updating. They haven't put out the rest of the dates for us. I was asking our team, hey, when will we get these dates? They're saying they're working on it. So they will be getting those dates, and so we will update that. We will make sure that all of the schools have that, all the high schools have that information, because it's really important to know those timelines and to know those deadline dates. So I just put this up here so that you get an understanding of when those dates might be, but when we get it up for this year, we will make sure it's posted for you. Okay, next. So this is the action steps. This is what you can do right now, right? So they do ask for information from parents from their previous year's tax returns. So it's not going to be the 25 tax returns, it's the year before, right? So then you'll have those, because a lot of people won't have their taxes done before April, and you already have to start applying, right? So they go off the 24 tax returns. So if you can make sure that you have those handy, because there are questions on the applications about that. You need to create an FSA ID, and that's through the CCGI, which is your student has an account on the California College Guidance Initiative, and it's CCGI. It's a platform where they're going to be applying for the FAFSA. They need to create an account, and they can do that now, okay? And you can go to the link, and that'll help you create that with your student. Again, it doesn't open until October 1st, so you can't do anything past that, but if you start getting these things set up. You do not any longer, we just found this out this morning, you no longer need a CSAC account. You used to have to have a number and then open up this account so that you can upload and apply. You no longer need that. So we just found that out this morning. So that helps, because that means, you know, less work for parents to be putting in. Right now, it's going to be like something that you get from the grant, the application that says, hey, is this your child? Do you verify this? And it'll be like, yes, I verify that that's my kid, and they're filling this out. So there's no longer needing an account. We're asking that, you know, we're going to be pushing it out in October. So that's coming up quickly, right? So we're going to be having counselors push this out to students and families just to try to get early completion of the application. We get to get all that information and all that data back to us so that we see each school at the district level. We see each school that is having students apply, and then we try to support those schools to help get students to apply so that it is complete. Again, it's for so many different things that we don't want anyone to slip through the cracks. At your high schools, every high school obviously has counselors, and they have the college and career readiness teacher, and both those can help you fill out these applications at your college and career center or in your counseling office. So this month, at the end of this month, we're actually training all counselors and all high school counselors and all CCRTs, all AVID teachers. All of them will be trained on all of this forms, on all the applications for colleges, because again, we want to make sure that our students are ready and able to and have that opportunity to go. I want to say about the about the funding, it also can pay for trade school. So you need to be thinking about those too for those students who may wanting to go to trade school. So all of this, like I know it's like information that is a lot, but it's a really important to understand all of that. Next. I get to talk about money, more money, scholarships. So our department, again, helps support counselors with understanding about scholarships. So this just talks about like why scholarships important. There are so many scholarships out there for different pieces that your student may qualify for. And so we just try to make sure that we're having a systemic approach to scholarships, and so that every student knows that every scholarship that may be out there. And so again, this will be posted. And there's different kinds of scholarships that are offered by different kinds of places, from businesses to chambers, commerce, from nonprofit organizations. Our own district has a scholarship fund. So I just want to have your students, like, as this information will coming out from their counselors or their CCERTs at their schools, that they're just being on top of it if this is something that is a need for your family. These are the different kinds of scholarships that they're called. Merit-based, which is for academic and artistic or athletic excellence. So if you have a student who's a great athlete, there might be a scholarship out there for them. If there's a student who's great and excels in arts, whether it be musical arts or graphic arts or whatever, there might be a scholarship out there. So there's different kinds of scholarships for that. There's need-based scholarships, so students who are in need of financial aid that may not have qualified for some FAFSA or CADA. There are scholarships for that. There are community, like I said, Rotary Club or chambers of commerce, businesses in our area that might be providing a scholarship. Like I said, there are district scholarships that we have, Making Hope Happen, and then we have our own San Bernardino City Community Scholarship Association. And then there's actually special interests, whether it's cultural or service, like if your student is going above and beyond in their community service, there can be scholarships for that. And that's, again, money a lot of times that are just left on the table. We want to make sure that our kids are getting this money. That's my job, get the money out to the kids. Next. Oh, these are just more scholarships. So the key ones for California specific are the Cal Grant, which I was talking about with the FAFSA, filling out the FAFSA, middle class scholarship for families in moderate income, the Chafee Grant, which is for our foster youth that would qualify for that. And then there's a lot of scholarships that are out there from the universities or the colleges themselves, including trade schools, if that's the path that your student wishes to take. And then there's also a lot of national or private scholarships, again, money that we find left out there. Gates Scholarship, which has a lot to do with community service and possibly the field that your student may be going into. Coca-Cola Scholars, different foundations that will be putting money out there. And again, this is information that your counselor and or CCRT will have information about. Next. I am all about you looking for yourself, because you know your child most, right? Or your child may know themselves and want to look at this. I added here a search engine platforms that a link for that, because there are so many search engines that will help you narrow down scholarships or funding sources for you. So I just put the link there because there's a whole list of them, right? So that might be better for you. I listed a few here. So if you're looking for scholarships that are specific for California, you could go to bold.org and they will filter it down for you to give specifics for what you may be looking for a scholarship and then tell you how to apply for it. So I just listed a few there just to help you out. These are tips that I share with parents. I've been doing this a long time, helping families apply for FAFSA and try to look for scholarships. I've supported counselors. I was not a counselor, but I supported counselors most of my career. So these are tips that we have found that just best help you. You need to create a detailed profile of your student, what they've done academically, what they've done for community service, what they've done in sports, what they, like create a portfolio of everything that your student has done and have your student sit down and write down everything that they've done, right? And if for those of you who have younger, think about this now, like have them start something that has them writing down everything that they've done, because you never know what kind of scholarship or funding might be out there for them. When you go into the filter or into the platforms, make sure you use the filter so that it gets down to the nitty-gritty ones that you may qualify based on what your targeted matches are for what you do. Check regularly on updates for them, because a lot of times they change. I want to make sure you understand that the money that for scholarships, it's based on the donor. And so sometimes it might say 1 year they have $5,000 and the next year they might have 10. So constantly check up on that, because sometimes if money is left on the table, they increase their scholarship fund, right? So you just need to make sure that you're checking up on that. But the money is awarded by the discretion of the donor. So it would depend on how they do that. A lot of times they interview the students, so that's how they choose. The biggest one is you should never, ever, ever, ever pay for to apply for a scholarship. Please do not pay for a scholarship. That is not what you should be doing. They should be giving you money to help your student attend college. So a lot of times there's things out there, and unfortunately that happens, but please do not pay for to apply for a scholarship. And then these are just a list of things that your student, to qualify for scholarships, these are just things that they might want to think about: their GPA, doing well in school, what their goals are, what they want to do, what the path they're taking, their community service. So I know that they only need to do so much, but maybe they want to do extra, because a lot of times scholarships are based on that. Any extracurricular activities that they are doing. And again, that can be from elementary, middle school, all the way up to high school. So again, if you don't have high school students now, they can start now, right? And then their senior portfolio. Next. So that's just pretty much about scholarships for our current high school students, current seniors. I want to talk about CalKids. This is a scholarship, or it's money that's being put aside for students or for young people who were born after July 1st, 2022. So this was started in 2022, and it's an account basically that has put money aside for students who are attending public school and were born in California. And I know it's like, what? And I'm like bummed, because my son was born in 2011. But I think this is exciting for students and families in need who they don't even have to do anything. They just need to look at this, and it accrues. You can look up if you have a student who was born after 2022 and they've been attending our district, right? You can look up the account through their SSID number, which can be found on their transcript or in their ARIES, so you can look that up. But I just want to share with you that this is just a great opportunity for kids that that may not even know, because it can be used for college, universities, it can be used for trade schools, it could be used for trade things that they want to go do, workforce, things like that. So please don't discount that. Think about that as your student. Don't rely always on that, because I'll keep doing this every year if I have to about scholarships and grants and financial aid. But it's definitely something that I'm excited that our state is doing. I do have a video. I don't know if we want to play the one video. It's in English and Spanish, so I wanted to play it just kind of so you can see. Does it say on there if you can? I also linked fun facts.
Here in California, we believe our children have a future worth investing in. That's why the state has created CalKids scholarships for more than 5 million California children. Each scholarship offers up to $1,500 for qualified college or career training expenses, such as tuition, books, and computer equipment. It's quick and easy to check eligibility and claim a scholarship. It only takes a few minutes. Visit calkids.org today to see if your child has a CalKids scholarship waiting for them. Calkids.org.
Yeah, again, they had to be born after July 1st, 2022. And on there, the links are for Cal Kids, and then there's Fast Facts. I just wanted to give you as much information as possible because, again, this is important. And again, if you have questions, your counselors and your CCRTs at your high schools know this information and will be updated all the time. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, I do have questions. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Okay, we do have a question online. The question is, how can you become a college career counselor or volunteer to help those students?
Oh, I love that question. Volunteers, yes. So to become a college and career counselor, it is a position in our district that is a paid position. So you have to be a teacher or a counselor and go get your PPS. But as a volunteer, if you're a parent and you volunteer, we absolutely will take your help because we have a lot of students, right, in our district. So you can volunteer for whichever school that your student attends, and just go through the volunteer process, and they will. I'm telling you right now, CCRTs and counselors will accept your help. Yes, absolutely. Other question? Oh, yes, absolutely.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Ms. Cooper. How you ladies doing? My name's Ray Moya. I'm here to represent all school sites across our district from kindergarten to 12th grade. You mentioned a lot of good things about scholarships for the older kids, and that's wonderful. And you mentioned that the counselors will know all of that. And then you got into Cal Kids. And some of you know me and know that I've been here for a few seasons. And Cal Kids was something that I introduced here. And so you misspoke about a few things. So if you want that newborn Cal Kids account, you have to be born after the date she gave, the year 2022.
2022,
Right. But you can have a student at any age after 7 or 8 years old who can get their $500 scholarship, or $1,000 if they're homeless or on Atlas or on foster care. I believe that you might get up to $1,500. So I've issued myself probably about 30 children Cal Kids accounts over the last year, maybe year and a half. My son and my daughter, they're a part of it, and a lot of my community will qualify for it. It's for the impoverished, so you have to meet the poverty guidelines, but most of our community does. About 90% of us should qualify, 10% won't, but it's worth the shot. And like she had mentioned, it's all about that, is it the SSID? And that's on their ARIES. And if you don't know their ARIES, you need to know their ARIES. So you need to have ARIES and Parent Square. But ARIES is where you're going to find a bulk of their information. I just wanted to share that with all of you. And then I wanted to ask you a question about, is there a way we can require all school counselors to be proficient in applying for the Cal Kids Scholarship, to where you're not telling people the wrong information and so they believe you and say, oh, well, she told me my kid didn't qualify, but they'll be hands-on with the software. So you can order like a training to where somebody can come in and actually put it into play for them to watch and see how it's done, and then they can implement it at the school sites. Is that something Swiss might be interested in doing?
Yes, Mr. Moy, I appreciate you sharing that other information. I'm going to be honest with you, my team works with counselors every day, so we are the ones that train them, so absolutely. I know that we have a training on the 29th of this month, and I don't know, I think it's full, but I want to see how we can do that for our high school counselors at a different date, so absolutely.
I would start, because it grows interest over time. So the sooner you get in, the better.
Yeah.
So if you were to do the Cal Kids Scholarship, you'd want to do it in elementary school.
Yeah.
So then it could accrue interest over time. And the beauty is, too, if your kids don't go to college right after high school, they still accrue interest, and that money still grows until they're 26
Thank you,
years
Mr.
old.
Montoya. I appreciate your, but we have to watch the time. So if we could go on to our next.
If I can talk with you after, then I can talk, if that's okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
We will take just one more question on this, please, due to our time. Again, if you guys have any more questions, or even online there, we do have that burning question form. Please fill that out. Thank you.
Sorry. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Lorenzana. I'm here representing Indian Spring High School. My question is, I know during AVID we did apply to CalKids, but I do know a lot of students who didn't qualify or like weren't eligible, but they were like also in the probability line. How does that work?
I can't speak to that, why they wouldn't qualify. Like Mr. Moya was talking about, it does have parameters that you have to meet. So what we can do is just kind of have, I don't know if they worked with the AVID teacher or worked with their counselor or their college and careers teacher, they can look at that. But there are parameters that they have to meet to earn that. And there might be something that, and I'm going to say this, it might be that there was an error made when they were applying or looking at it, so they can look at that as well.
I say that because many students who like the AVID teacher were also confused themselves, and so yeah.
I'm sorry, you said you were at Indian Springs?
Yes.
Okay. So I am really close with your head counselor there, so I will look into that and have him work with the AVID coordinator there and see maybe how we can help.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let's give Miss Martina a great big hand. That's lots of valuable information. Thank you so much for bringing that. There are lots of details that you really need to dig into to get a lot more information. And like she said, the school counselors and the career teachers are out there to support all of the students in our district. So reach out to them. Thank you again. Definitely.
Thank you. We'll turn it back over to Categorical Programs, who's presenting the last two agenda line items, SSC training and the distribution of the DAC bylaws.
Excellent. Next slide, please. Let's take a look at school site council training. Some of you have probably already received this training this year, but we always like to bring it to the district advisory council meeting because some people aren't always able to attend school site council, so we want to make sure everyone's aware of what the responsibilities are at a school site council. Next slide, please. Oh, you're on that slide. Thank you. All right, school site council. Let's take a look. All right, first of all, an overview. A school site council is required when schools are receiving Title I funds, federal Title I funds. All of the schools in our district receive these federal dollars, and so every school is required to have a school site council. If you are an elementary school, typically your school site council is 10 members, and a secondary school is 12 members. The school site council is an elected body that represents the school community and encourages parent, family, student, and community engagement. They help develop a school plan and help make important decisions in utilizing those Title I funds. That school plan is called the School Plan for Student Achievement, or SPSA, or SIPSA, a lot of different ways to refer to that plan. But it is a plan that is created each year to put in place for the next year so that those Title I funds that the school receives are used to increase student achievement. Those Title I funds are to be used to increase student achievement for our lowest achieving students. It also takes into consideration any input from our other school advisory committees, such as our ELAC, our English Learner Advisory Committee, our African American Parent Advisory Committee, the APAC, and other committees as well. Next slide, please. So what is it? School Site Council helps provide an opportunity for interaction for parents, teachers, other school members, and the community with administration. It helps provide a forum for discussing the educational needs at your school site based on the needs of your particular school. It helps foster the importance of decision-making at the school level. And it also provides an arena for parents and staff leadership to emerge. These members right up here, our board at DAC, are all former members or current members of a school site council who have become leaders at their school and now are continuing at the district level. Some of our school board members are former school site council members. Miss Medina, one of our board members, used to be a member at Richardson Prep, as well as our board president, Miss Ceballos. There are many of our school board members who started as a parent volunteer in our district and attended school site council meetings and have continued to be part of our community in helping meet the needs of our students. Next slide, please. What's our composition? Our composition, as I mentioned a minute ago, at elementary level is typically 10 members. There would be 10 school members and 10 parent family members. There would be a principal, 3 teachers, and 1 other staff member. That other staff member would be anyone outside the classroom who does not take roll of their students on a daily basis. Then the other 5 members would be parent community members within that school. At the secondary level, very similar, only it's 12 members. They have the principal, as well as 3 teachers and 1 other member. And then there are 3 parents and 3 students. So students at the middle school and high school are eligible to be members of the school site council to help make decisions on how to use those Title I funds. There is an election process for the membership, with the exception of the principal. The principal is always a permanent member. But then when it comes to the classroom teachers are those that have an attendance roster, like your first grade teacher, your second grade teacher, or your English teacher, your math teacher. And they have a list of students that they teach every day. So that's a classroom teacher. The other classroom teachers would vote for the membership on school site council. The other staff member would be anyone else who works at the school. It could be a custodian, a secretary, a vice principal, a rec aide, anyone else who works at the school, right? And though that person is elected by the other staff people at the school, so it's in a category. Then we have our parent community members. Parent community members can elect themselves to be a member or nominate themselves to be a member or nominate another person to be a member. Then their names go on a ballot and parent community members would elect those parent members to that council. Same thing when it comes to the students at middle school and high school. The students elect themselves, nominate themselves to be a member. Their name would go on a ballot, and the students at that school would elect and vote for those student members. Okay, next slide. I mentioned nominations. You can nominate yourself as a member, or someone else can nominate you. One thing that you have to be careful of is if you are a parent and a staff member at the same school. For example, if my children attended Kendall Elementary and I also work there, I would be considered a staff member at that school, even though my kids attend there, because I work there. There'd be a kind of a conflict if I wanted to be the parent member, and there's ed code that relates to this. If I'm working at Kendall, but I also have kids over at Shandon Hills, I could be a parent member at Shandon Hills School Site Council because I don't work at that school. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind when it comes to the election process. Next slide, please. Once the nominations are completed, we always recommend that when those nomination forms are collected, we have a staff member. Typically, it's a program facilitator or a resource teacher. Sometimes it's a secretary in the office. We always ask that they call those parents just to make sure that they know they've been nominated, number one, because sometimes parents don't even know they've been nominated, and ask to confirm that they would like to be a school site council member. We don't want any school to waste any parents' time, but we also want to make sure that they have the opportunity that they want to be a school site council member. So we confirm the nomination, and that's when we put the names on a ballot to send home to parents to do that election process. Most of the ballots nowadays are coming to you through Parent Square electronically so that you can vote through Parent Square. Okay? Next slide, please. After your school establishes their school site council, after the elections, at your meeting, usually it's the first meeting of your school site council, that's when officers are elected, right? That's when the chairperson would be elected, the vice chair, the secretary, and sometimes there's a parliamentarian to help keep the meeting flowing. Similar to Miss Sally here, she's our parliamentarian. She's helping keep us on top of our agenda to keep the meeting going on time, right? So that's done within the meeting. That's done by a show of hands by the members who are part of that school site council who just got elected, okay? Typically, the chairperson presides the meeting, similar to what Miss Karina's been doing today. She's been making sure we're following the agenda and naming off the next items. The vice chairperson would do that in the absence of the chairperson, so they kind of help each other out, right? And if for some reason they were both absent, of course, we have our secretaries and parliamentarian that can help also. Our secretary helps take minutes. That sometimes can be a task that might be overwhelming for someone, but school staff is always there to help, right? Usually, like here at DAC, we have staff members taking minutes over on the side here of everything that's taken place during the meeting. And our secretaries here help record who make the motions, getting the first and last names, who makes the second motion, and then getting the vote count. Then that information gets turned over to our staff to help write up those minutes. And then our parliamentarian, like Miss Sally, she helps make sure that we're staying on track with our questions and answers and so forth, and making sure that our meeting's moving along accordingly. Next slide. School site council at that first meeting will also nominate and elect the DAC member representative. They usually nominate and elect a representative and an alternate. And both people are eligible to attend our DAC meetings. The representative, we always ask that it's a parent because we want as many parents involved as possible. We also recommend that at the secondary level, nominate some students, right? Get some students involved also. But it can be anyone. The school site council just has to elect the person. They don't necessarily have to be a member of the school site council. So say, for example, you've been a member and you've termed out, but you still go to the school site council meetings. They could still elect you as a member to DAC. Okay? Next item. Quorum. What's a quorum? A quorum is 50% plus one of the members. So 10 members, 50% is half of 10, which is 5, plus 1. So 6 members have to be present to vote on anything that's on the agenda, okay? At the secondary level, it's half of 12, which is 6, plus 1 more. 7 members would need to be present to vote on anything that needs to be voted on during that meeting. Typically, every meeting has a set of minutes that need to be reviewed and voted on. So that's usually the main thing. But later in the year, school site council, remember, is responsible for helping develop that school plan and using those Title I funds within that plan. So they have to vote for that Title I program in that school plan. So that comes later in the year. Next item. Excuse me, next slide. Robert's Rules of Order. We've kind of talked about it a little bit already. Robert's Rules of Order is a format for running a meeting, making sure that you start with an agenda, you follow the items on the agenda, you have time for public comment, and time for question answers. So following the agenda is part of Robert's Rules of Order. There's also a way to help handle like non-agenda items, or if something kind of goes off to the, what I call the yellow brick road, going off on a different different path, thank you. There's a way to bring it back around, and that's through our process also, our Robert's Rules of Order process. Next slide. So what are the meeting requirements for SSC? Following the agenda, number one, right? Making sure the agenda is posted at least 72 hours before the meeting. And usually that's done on Parent Square and on the parent bulletin board somewhere at the school. Allowing for public comment during the meeting. We always do it here at DAC. We always do it towards the end of the meeting. And making sure we address the items that are on the agenda. We have to follow bylaws, which you've received a copy of, and that's our next item on the agenda, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. We have to make sure we follow Robert's Rules of Order. We can't talk about something that's not on the agenda, okay? During a public comment, if you have a question about something that we could put on a future agenda, we welcome those questions during public comment. We also encourage you to engage in questions and answers, and we document everything in minutes. Make sure we have to have quorum to vote on any items that need to be voted upon. And then if we have vacancies, we fill those vacancies as soon as possible. School Site Council needs to have at least that 10 or 12 member roster throughout the year. This is the Green Act. It's lots of different rules and regulations. We give you a copy of it so you know what the Green Act actually is, and I just kind of went over it with you in a summary format. But this is the actual Green Act that school site councils and DACs are required to follow. Next item. I've mentioned the SPSA or the SIPSA, right? So school site council throughout their meetings throughout the year, typically there are about 6 or 7 meetings throughout the school year. You're going to hear a lot about the school plan. You're going to hear about how the funds are being utilized. And so it's your job as school site council members to hear about it and talk about it. You want to make sure that the program is implemented as it's written and monitored for progress. So for example, if you voted as a school site council member to have a resource teacher be part of the school Title I program to be able to support students who may not be achieving at grade level in reading or math, you want to know how well that program's going. Have they hired the support teacher? What grades of students is that teacher supporting, right? And how is that program going? You want to see data. You want to see how well that program is impacting student achievement. You also want to hear from your ELAC because you want to talk about the English learner progress at your school. All of our schools have English learners except for a couple of our schools. But almost all of them have English learners, and we need to address their needs. So you want to talk about their data and address the needs within that school plan as well. And then, of course, we want to take a look at any priorities, look at that data, and if we need to make an adjustment because maybe something isn't working quite well and you've tried it for 2, 3, 4 years, maybe it's time to change something, right? So that's when you talk about modifying the plan for the next year. And you work through that utilizing your student data to be able to make those changes. Next slide. Federal program monitoring. I think I mentioned that earlier during our UCP presentation, our Uniform Complaint Procedure presentation. All of our federal funds, we are required to follow federal guidelines for utilizing those funds. Our state of California Department of Education, California Department of Education, is required to monitor the schools throughout the state to ensure that schools are utilizing those funds in particular the way they should, right? We, San Bernardino City Unified School District, are normally identified every 2 years to follow this federal program monitoring process. This is our year. We've been identified by the state of California to review 12 programs in our district. One of them is the Title I program or compensatory education. So we have a process. We'll be working with the California Department of Education. They ask for specific documentation like school site council agendas, school site council minutes, the school plan, budgets, and so forth. We provide that documentation to them for the schools that they want to review and for the district as a whole, so they can take a look to make sure we're following education code. So again, we're being reviewed for 12 programs. 6 schools have been identified. How many of you attend Cajon? Anybody? Okay, Cajon's being reviewed. We're going to be working with the California Department of Education at Cajon, as well as at San Gorgonio, at Shandon Hills, at Golden Valley, Newmark, and Brown Elementary. Those are the schools that were selected by the California Department of Education for the review this year. Every 2 years when we go through the review, we are happy to say our Title I program does an excellent job. In fact, 2 years ago, when we went through this same process, we provided the California Department of Education with all the documents that they wanted and needed, and we finished the review prior to the official first day of the review. We had no findings at all. So we are very proud of our district for making sure that we are following ed code throughout the district. Next item. Questions about school site council? Anything online? Right here. You want to come up to the microphone, please? And while he's making his way there, how many of you, again, are brand new to school site council this year? Okay, great. We are so glad you've been nominated and elected. Hi there.
My name is Robert Caldera. I'm an alternate for Serrano Middle School. And I have a question about the alternates.
Absolutely, go ahead.
So the alternates at Serrano Middle School, during our voting at SSC, I was elected as chairman, but I'm an alternate for Student Site Council.
Or District Advisory Council?
No. What? SSC. But I'm also an alternate for DAC.
Got it. So your school has elected membership plus alternates? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was wondering, could an alternate be elected as chairman for Student Site Council?
That's an excellent question. So I'm going to refer to Ed Code just to make sure my answer is correct and make sure I get back to you. Typically, school site council normally does not have alternates. Sometimes they do, but the permanent member would be the one to be elected for an officer position. Typically, an alternate is not elected. But I'm going to refer to Ed Code and to your school's bylaws before I give you a permanent answer to your question, because bylaws play into that as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question. Bylaws are important, and that's the next item on our agenda. Are there any other questions about School Site Council? All right.
Cheryl, right quick. Cheryl.
Yes.
Just right quick, I'm sorry. I just want to say to all of you parents that are new and on School Site Council, we applaud you. And we
Absolutely.
thank you greatly.
Sometimes it's very difficult. We know how busy families are. We know sometimes the meetings aren't at the best time of day for everybody, right? So we do applaud you for reaching out and engaging in your school site council and being part of that membership. Thank you so much. All right. District Advisory Council has bylaws just like school site councils do. These bylaws are being distributed to you today for you to review between now and next month. You want to take a look at what the objective of District Advisory Council is. You want to make sure you understand what the role of the council is. Next page is the composition of our council for District Advisory Council, as well as how we select the members. We've kind of gone through that already today, explaining about our District Advisory Council. Next, on the next page is the term of representation, as well as voting rights and termination of representation, as well as a transfer. You want to make sure what that means. Section 7 of our bylaws is about alternates. Every school shall submit the name of an alternate to District Advisory Council. So we do have alternates, okay? There's a Section 8 talks about resignation. Section 9 is about vacancy. Section 10 is about notification to schools. And then we move into Article 4, which is our executive board and officers and what the membership is for that and how they qualify. And then the next page is, of course, how to elect those officers, our term of office for our officers, our vacancies, any kind of removal, and then it goes into our duties of each officer. Next article is Article 5, and that talks about special committees. Article 6 are about our meetings of the council and where they'll be held, special meetings, and so forth. And then on the last page is where we talk about our open meetings and any amendments that might be made to our bylaws. So you want to read these carefully, because at our next meeting, our bylaws will be on our agenda to review and approve at our next meeting. Okay? Any questions?
We do have a question online. The question is, where can we download the bylaws? And so for those of you who are DAC representatives or alternates, this information was emailed to you. If for some reason you did not receive the email from Ms. Abrams, please let us know. You can post it in the chat box, or you can speak to us after the meeting, and we will make sure that we get your contact information.
Excellent. And we are at a point right now where we may not have all of your names and email addresses, simply because you yourself just got elected as the DAC member, and we may not have your information yet from your school. So go ahead and let us know, and we'll make sure you get a copy. All right, next item on the agenda, or one more question?
Yeah, before we move, I have a question.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the 12 programs that are being audited this year, and you mentioned one which is Title I.
Correct.
Can you mention can you mention the other 11?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can remember them off the top of my head. Adult ed will be reviewed as part of our federal program monitoring review. Our fiscal monitoring will be reviewed. That means our fiscal department that oversees all of our funding will go through the review. Let's see, uniform complaint procedures, education equity. We did say Title I. Title IV, which is federal funding for a well-rounded education, will be reviewed. Let's see, that was 6. You're challenging me here. Let's see. Tell me again. Help me out.
Title III.
Title III for our English learners. Thank you.
SSI for
Oh, our school improvement. Yes, as part of our CSI and TSI schools. That's part of your school plan as well. I think that's 10.
PTE.
Oh, our PE program is being reviewed. How many of you knew that PE has an ed code for required amount of minutes that students are supposed to have physical education? Ah, very good. We're going to be monitored to make sure we're following that from kindergarten through 12th grade.
And your last one, CTE. CTE.
Oh, yes, CTE, our college career program, is also being reviewed, and we talked a little bit about that today. Thank you, Ms. Sargent, for my failing, tired memory helping me out there. All right. We are ready for public comment, so if our next item can be mentioned.
Thank you, Ms. Tagashi. And yes, we are ready for public comment, but it will be, please remember, it's within the purview of today's agenda. And with respect, we have about 5 minutes so that we do not go over our time for adjournment.
Yeah,
Any
we are
other public
right
comments?
there, and we love all of you being here for the whole meeting. Thank you so much. If you have a comment, please come up to the microphone, or if there's something in the chat.
Nothing in the chat.
Oh, Miss Sargent has a comment. Yes, our director. Let's give her a hand, please.
Thank you. I want to send an invitation to our parents who are here today for our parenting classes, which have begun on September the 9th. These parenting classes are held at the building right just to our right here, the Paxum Welcome Center. This is a brand new building,
right behind our building.
Brand new building. They're hosting those classes there. It is from 5:30 to 7:30 from September 9th to November 18th. I will make sure that the flyer for these parenting classes is shared with our DAC representatives and alternates, but we also have a member from our family engagement team here. So if you have any questions after today's meeting, you're welcome to come up and ask her any questions. We'd love to see you there. Learning from our Science of Parenting. This is a partnership we have with Cal State San Bernardino with the KITS program. So just want to extend an invitation to each of you. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Miss Sargent.
We have a question?
No, I had to. So I want to invite everyone to, we're having a family leadership at
Who's we?
Oh, are we in public comment?
We are in public comment. Would you like to wait?
No, I would like to make a public comment about, we're having a family leadership workshop coming up in September, towards the middle of September 23rd, 22nd, 23rd. Is that right, Ms. Esmeralda?
It's the Family Leadership Institute, and it's going to be next week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at the adult school. This is a really good conference for you as a parent to become a better leaders of your family. So you are welcome. You can go the first day over there at 9 a.m. It's going to be 9 to 2. And we're going to provide breakfast and lunch.
And that's the adult school on
Adult
Baseline
school.
and E Street, correct?
Yes,
Excellent.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, there is a request for the flyer for the parenting classes to be emailed. So yes, that will be sent. Or
It'll
has
be
been
sent.
Mhm.
Yes. Sorry, Mr. Moya.
Raymond Moya, all school sites. I just want to thank you parents for showing up. All of you who represent your community and your schools, it matters. It makes a difference that somebody's paying attention. I'm telling you, you guys should show up and show out. Nobody else is coming. You're it. So take a look at yourself in the mirror, give yourself a round of applause. Be proud to represent your school site. It matters. And I want you to know that. Coming from a community member. I know when you hear it from the board, you go like, oh, that's nice. But I'm on your side. Does that make sense? So let's work together and have a good year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Last item on the agenda is
Sorry. If there are no further questions, we will now adjourn the meeting.
excellent. Thank you so much. We'll see you next month. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. Thank you, our interpretation department,
adjourned.
communications. Thank you. And thank you to everyone online. Have a great evening.